Hey folks, I'm about to do cuttings on my giant size brown turkey fig tree. Now when I say giant size fig tree, yeah, look at that. It's huge. I'm reducing it partially because I need more space in this area of the yard, and also because when the figs get way up there, there's nothing I can do with them. I can't harvest them and they just go to waste, or they feed the birds and the bees, but I'm more concerned about getting some space back here. I'm probably going to do about 10 cuttings. I'm going to use 2 different methods. Now I have a lot of different areas where I can take cuttings from, and generally what I try to find is a nice straight piece that's maybe about 8 to 10 inches long and that has a tip like this here on it. So this piece here is pretty much perfect. It's long enough, probably about 10, maybe 12 inches long. And usually I try to get, I can do anywhere from 9, 10, 14 inches long. So I'm going to use this piece here. So I'm going to take some nice sharp shears. I'm going to go down right below a node here. I don't know if you can see the node, but here, let me move a leaf out the way, or a few leaves out the way. I'm going to be doing a lot of pruning on this tree. So hopefully you can see the node here. And I'm going to cut maybe about 1 inch below it. So I have my 11 cuttings here. All of them are pretty decent size. Could have gone longer, could have gone shorter. Some a little thicker, some a little thinner. But all of them, one thing in common, they all have that little tip there. So when cutting these, there are 2 ways where people say you should cut them, or one way where people really stress cutting. Some people say you need to cut it at an angle. Other people say it doesn't really matter. So I gathered my cuttings. I put them in water for about 15 minutes. And if you take a look at my cuttings, a couple things you'll notice. All of them have that little green tip like that. That's where the latest growth was. Now some people say you should cut them at a 45-degree angle like that. So I did half of them like that. The rest, I just did flat. Some people say it doesn't matter, but I decided to do a little experiment. Now, half of them I cut at an angle, half of them I didn't. Something else that is recommended by some, not recommended by others. I took it and I scored it. Just take your life. You don't have to cut too deep. Just score it a little bit to encourage growth of the roots. So half of them I'm scoring, half of them I'm not. Actually, I've already scored them. Next step, and it's really simple. Just take it, dip it in some, this is just your basic rooting hormone. Find it at least one of the big box stores. And let me take a moment to interrupt my process and tell you thank you for visiting. If you enjoy my videos, please hit the like button, hit the notification button, hit the subscribe button. That way you'll be here next time I have something else going on in the garden or in the greenhouse or just out here in the yard. Now let's get back to the video. Now, as far as the growing medium that I'm growing these in, this is 80% basic garden soil. I also added some peat moss and some seed starting mix. Partially because the seed starting mix has cocoa coir, peat moss, and vermiculite. Also had a little extra vermiculite left over, and I poured a little more in there. So, and that's really just to help prevent it from drying out, retaining moisture, because one thing you do not want is for your soil to dry out, or your growing mixture to dry out. Now for each spot, I'm moving the soil away so none of the growing medium gets pushed off of it. And I'm gently packing it in. Can't forget that. If you don't have any rooting hormone and you don't feel like going out and buy anything, another good rooting hormone is aloe vera. Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about, aloe vera, just your regular aloe vera plants. All those oils or juices that come out of there when you cut it, you can take that and rub it along or dip it in to the or onto your cutting. There's several other natural rooting hormones that you can use. Reportedly, honey is a good rooting hormone. Real honey, not the fake stuff. In case you don't know what I mean, studies have shown that well over 50% of your honey in your grocery stores that's labeled honey, 100%, is not. It's mixed with high fructose corn syrup. So if you want real honey and you want to know that it's real honey, your best bet is to buy it from a beekeeper. Often they'll show up at farmers markets. Okay, so that's good. The soil is already fairly damp, but I am going to add some more water to it. I'm not going to be watering this often. Now the last step, you want to add a plastic bag on top of it, and that will help retain the humidity around your cuttings. This will help with moisture retention and help it grow. Now, depending on what time of year you're doing this or the climate you're doing this in, it's going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for these to completely root. Now, I'm not going to mess with this probably for about another month since I'm down here in zone 8A. Now, some people do this in the dead of winter. They take their cuttings and get them set up. For me, it's September. I'm in zone 8A. It's warm. I took the cuttings off the tree because I'm going to be doing some major pruning in the fall and winter. I want to do this now. I'm going to leave it outside because the weather's perfect for it. If I were doing this in the winter time, I would take this inside. Now, once you get a good amount of roots from these, you'll probably start seeing some leaves up top. You can take them, repot them, and just take care of them like you would a new, just like you would a new plant that you just bought, a young plant. So take care of it well. Now, I know I mentioned I will show you 2 ways to do this. Another way is to take your cutting, dip it. I've already dipped it. Take a wet paper towel, fold it up, roll it up in that paper towel, put it inside of a plastic bag, Ziploc bag, or whatever brand, I don't care. Zip it up, leave it for 4, maybe 6 weeks, and you'll be able to see roots in here. Once you get your roots established, take it, put it in a pot, you're good to go. And one thing, when you're doing projects like this where you're taking cuttings or you're airlaying a tree, there are so many different ways to do things. So if you have another way to do it, just put it in the comments. And as always, let's get out there and get a little dirty.